This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Good evening, Rafael Sanchez. And new at 7, free rides will now continue on Indigo's Red Line, and that's because its new payment service system is not ready for you. The original plan was to start collecting fares for the Red Line on October the 1st, 1 month after the Red Line opened. But Indigo says updates to its fare system not operational. New ticket vending machines are not yet accepting cash, and other updates to the system are behind schedule. Based on the work that still needs to be done, Indigo plans to start collecting fares from you for the Red Line beginning now on November the 10th. You can find everything you need to know about the Red Line right now by going to the RTV6 app or our website, theindychannel.com, and watching our special report inside the Red Line. Now at 7, it is still cool, it is still clear. It was so tough to be indoors today because it was so beautiful, but heading into the weekend, it would be another great time for a repeat. Kevin Gregory, hint, hint, will we see more of the same weather over the next couple of days?
There's some changes ahead. If we had a roof in here that could open, Raphael, I think we'd have an open roof newscast in progress. Brown County leaf cam at this time. Next week, it'll start to be dark. You can see the shadows growing here, but the sun's setting at 7:36 now. But we'll start to see more color in the trees. The blue sky was beautiful today and is right now. Should be a nice sunset. 71, that's our current temperature. 3 degrees cooler up in Miami County, or in Miami County in Peru. 73 in Bloomington. Temperatures in the metro area below the average high for the day, which is 74 degrees. Tonight, the air's dry, the humidity very low. Temperature will fall off to 60 at 10 o'clock. We'll drop into the 50s at 11 o'clock tonight. Here, the cool temperatures for tomorrow morning. 52 is average, but with overnight lows running warmer most of the month, this feels way below average. It's not quite there. Friday forecast temperature by noon at 74. We'll talk about the timing of some Friday thunderstorms and where they'll be located coming up.
Kevin, thank you so much. Taking care of neighborhood eyesores while setting young people up for success. The program called BUILD was just awarded $45,000 through Indy's Crime Prevention Grant Program. Trainees between the ages of 16 and 24 earn $200 a week as they rehab older and abandoned homes and right in their own neighborhoods. Daquan Ludi has been with BUILD since it started, and today he's a head carpenter.
This will show you how to make some legit money and keep you off the streets because you got a skill now and you're not trying to break in that window. You know, you can fix that window.
Once that project is complete, leaders say connected to the participants, helping them to find jobs and build a successful future. Now, to get involved in the BUILD program, we have a link at theindychannel.com. Now at 7, some new numbers out today show we're now up to 17 confirmed cases of lung illnesses related to vaping in Indiana. And there are 50 more probable cases being investigated in our state. A 12th person has died from vaping. The latest death, one in Mississippi. One death has been in Indiana. The CDC says there are now over 800 cases of this vaping lung disease nationwide. Health officials are urging everyone, especially teens, to stop using e-cigarettes. We've been telling you about the mosquito-borne illness EEE impacting people and animals as well. The Bender Park Zoo in Michigan says that EEE has killed 2 of these 3 wolf pups. The zoo says that Eastern equine encephalitis is rare in canines, but there's no approved vaccine for canines in specific. The U.S. has now seen at least 10 deaths from EEE, and 4 people have died in Massachusetts, where people there are taking heavy precautions this week.
EEE doesn't stop until they get a frost. So it may be a while before we get a frost.
And I just pray that people can heed to the messages and the warnings and take care of themselves the best they can.
The EEE virus is rare and causes serious brain infections. There have not been any reported human cases in Indiana, but 4 horses have tested positive in Elkhart County. There have been 27 human cases in the U.S. so far this year. The Indiana Black Expo has announced one of the so-called exonerated 5, Corey Wise, will be the Grand Marshal for this year's Circle City Classic Parade. Wise and 4 other men, commonly known as the Central Park 5, were wrongfully accused and imprisoned for the rape and the beating of a 28-year-old woman in New York City. And their story was most recently featured in the Emmy Award-winning Netflix series When They See Us. Wise is now a criminal justice reform advocate and a speaker as well. The Circle City Classic Parade will be held Saturday at 10:30 on North Pennsylvania Street. That's where it starts. The game between Jackson State University and Kentucky State University scheduled for 3 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium. Every day, RTV6 works to bring you Hiring Hoosiers in hopes of helping you find resources, skills, and of course, jobs. And one of the most crucial parts of your career build could be, of course, your education. The Battle of Robots begins for students at the Walker Career Center as they show off their talents in technology. In the robotics program, students learn various skills, including how to create and build basic robots that use sensors to solve problems as well as tasks. They build these robots that can be used in competitive tournaments. They focus on understanding motors and functional systems and control systems as well. Now, students say this is helping prepare them for a career in science, technology, engineering, and math fields, also known as STEM. But they're also having a lot of fun using their creativity.
I learned how to use the machines in the machine shop. I learned how to actually hook up pneumatic systems.
There are companies that will look for that, First Robotics or Vex Robotics on a resume to say that they know that they've been in a program where they've been put under the gun, under pressure, and can succeed through it.
If you'd like to see these talented students at work, they'll be hosting a VEX robotic competition on November the 16th over there at the Warren Central High School out there on the city's east side. You can see this story and all of our Hiring Hoosiers profiles right now on the RTV6 app and our website, hiringhoosiers.com. There are questions about if your vote is safe as we get closer to another major election. This comes after the election interference that we saw back in the year 2016. Elizabeth Ruiz is looking into what may need to change in the next years to come.
Voting in America.
I feel it's my responsibility as a United States citizen.
It's a right in our democracy, but the security of our voting machines is a concern.
I'm not exactly sure how the election fraud keeps happening because they can make a slot machine unhackable, but it seems like the polling machines are susceptible to all kinds of intrusions and manipulation.
I just don't feel like the people using the machines know what they're doing.
Cyber expert Kevin Ford says voting machine technology differs from state to state. However, he says the problem isn't necessarily with the machine, it's what happens with the data after you cast your vote.
The machines themselves may keep records of who voted for whom, but in a lot of cases, those records will be exported from the machine and moved to databases in the cloud, on the internet, which opens up a whole lot of other connectivity routes.
He says many machines are connected to state websites, some of which don't have the best security due to lack of funding.
We already have examples of Russia accessing those databases, pulling information from those databases, and trying to attack those databases.
While he does feel the U.S. is still vulnerable to another attack, others trust the technology.
I think people in charge of it are pretty thorough about making sure it's done right.
It should be safe and secure enough for voters to feel confident in who they choose to elect their officials.
Ford says there is no federal requirement to look into the security of the voting system. He believes that needs to change to make sure everyone's vote is being counted fairly.
I think we need more federal leadership here. We need laws in place to make sure that we're looking into the voting systems so that we're doing audits and risk assessments on those. We also need standards. We need policies. We need frameworks which tell the states how to secure voting systems.
I'm Elizabeth Ruiz reporting.
Coming up on the news at 7, the nation's acting spy chief reveals some of what he knows to Congress today. Now, what lawmakers will do with that information next on the news at 7.
We share it with you on Good Morning Indiana.
A busy day in Washington, D.C. The acting director of the National Intelligence Agency facing questions from Congress about a whistleblower complaint against President Trump. Democrats are accusing the White House of a cover-up. ABC News' Rachel Scott has more from Washington.
The nation's top intelligence official in the hot seat and on the defensive.
If the Inspector General had not brought this complaint to our attention, you and the Trump administration might have gotten away with this unprecedented action.
Just because it was not forwarded to this committee does not mean that it went unanswered.
The acting director of national intelligence, Joseph McGuire, pitted between lawmakers and the White House. At the heart of that complaint from someone in the intelligence community, a July phone call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine, where Trump repeatedly urged him to investigate his potential 2020 rival Joe Biden and his son. In this redacted version, the whistleblower says White House officials were deeply disturbed by that call and reported hearing that officials were directed to remove the electronic transcript from the computer systems where they are normally stored. But that complaint was blocked by the administration and not passed on to Congress as required by law.
This is a cover-up. This is a cover-up.
The president insists he has done nothing wrong.
My call was perfect.
According to an audio recording obtained by the LA Times at a private event with diplomats in New York today, the president had this to say about the whistleblower.
Who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information? Because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? The spies and treason. We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
Some Republicans standing their ground, rushing to the president's defense. But there are some cracks in the party's support for the president.
I want to say to the president, this is not okay. It isn't, that conversation is not okay.
And while McGuire defended his handling of the complaint, he also called it unprecedented. And following that complaint, some are trying to nail down the identity of the whistleblower. Well, the whistleblower's attorneys are speaking out against that this afternoon, saying it would come at the risk of their personal safety. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
If you're not sure what the word impeachment means, this week you're definitely not alone. Merriam-Webster says searches for the word impeachment are up 3,600% in recent days, and for good reason. It's a complicated process. Presidents Andrew Jackson and Bill Clinton are the only two who have been impeached by the House, neither convicted of their charges by the Senate, and both served out the remainder of their terms. President Nixon resigned before his articles of impeachment went before the House. Coming up in Hiring Hoosiers on the news at 7. So you want to do well at work, but as you can imagine, all those tasks is just start piling up. Our career coach with some advice on what to do when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. But first, let's check in with Kevin Gregory.
And it's all blue sky right now. Beautiful sunset here in minutes. Tomorrow, some thunderstorms start to arrive in the state. We'll talk about the timeline and what impact they'll have on the weekend coming up.
And refined Atlas SE with technology.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Hiring Hoosiers has RTV6 looking for all sorts of ways to help you with your work life. Tonight we're hearing from one of our trusted career coaches about how to handle being overwhelmed on the job.
You know, you need to take a break and make a plan and ask yourself, how am I managing my time? We also need to make priorities. Like, think about your technology usage during the day. Are you checking your emails often, or are you just doing it a few times a day? Are you getting them on your phone? We have a lot of distractions, and that is definitely one we can eliminate. Limit your multitasking. Try to do one thing and do it well. Also, set boundaries and give yourself timelines and use your calendar. Remember just to do your best and accept that you cannot always be perfect. So if this isn't working, it's a really good time to ask for help. Sometimes you can leave some clues and hints. Talk to your boss or your supervisor and ask for help. It's always best to make an appointment and be prepared with examples of why you're overwhelmed. Make a list of your old and new workload changes. Offer some ideas and be willing to help. But most of all, you want to stay positive, professional, and not sound like you're complaining, but looking for solutions and help. So if that doesn't work, lastly, go to your human resources and ask for help there.
A big thank you to our career coaches. Uber now has a plan to make your next trip much, much safer. The rideshare company is responding to a scathing report in the Washington Post. That report claims that Uber has not done enough to investigate the most serious safety complaints. Uber denies this as it rolls out a new program that will require drivers to get a PIN from customers before starting rides. This will confirm passengers have the right driver. Uber has also been testing a feature that would allow passengers to call 911 from the app. It would send the car and driver information with that call. Now at 7, as we take a look at your local forecast, a beautiful day to take a ride with the windows down, maybe turn off the AC if you haven't done so already. What a nice day.
Unbelievable. The best day probably out of the next 7. Now, if you like summer warmth, then you'll like some of the days in the forecast. Today's a special day. Beautiful looking sunset here minutes away. But what's unique about today is it's perfectly 12 hours of sunlight, 12 hours of darkness. 7:36 was when sunrise, 7:36 p.m. sunset, and we'll see it here in just a few minutes. 73 in Terre Haute, or 76 in Terre Haute, 73 in Peru, also in Lafayette. Cooler temperatures, but really it's the drier air that's made a huge difference. We've pushed the warmth to the south here for a while. Tomorrow's temperatures will bounce right back. 71, that's our current mark, down 4 degrees from our afternoon high temperature in the middle 70s to the south. Tomorrow, noticeably warmer. We'll start very cool. Low temperatures will be in the upper 40s and outlying areas to low 50s. Tomorrow's high, 84 degrees, a chance for thunderstorms greatest in northwest Indiana first, probably not until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There is a low or marginal risk for severe storms. Damaging wind would be the main threat from any of the stronger storms. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, still no hint of any rain. Then at 4 o'clock, thunderstorms that have been building over northern portions of Illinois start to impact northwest Indiana. Again, we'll wait to see how far they can come to the south and how well they hold together. May have an impact on Friday night football, especially north of Indianapolis. Overnight tomorrow night into the morning hours on Saturday, that's 3 a.m., much needed rainfall. Then by 7, that's starting to move off to the east. But in general, the northern portion of the state has the best chance of rain tomorrow and then again Saturday. 85 your Saturday high. We step it up on Sunday up to 87. Saturday temperatures with a decent amount of cloud cover into the mid 80s. That's a well above average, at least 10 degrees above average for this time of year. Chance for showers is greater at the Notre Dame game in South Bend than it will be in Lafayette, but still a chance both places. High temperatures, well, there'll be a record warmth, record highs expected Monday and Tuesday and maybe even Wednesday. We've got a couple 90-degree days in there. The warmer it feels early next week, the cooler it will feel by next Thursday. We're really bouncing around here with temperatures over the next week.
So enjoy the next couple of hours, right?
You got it.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Here's a consumer alert as the fall festival season gets underway in central Indiana. RTV6's Meredith Barrick reports on how to keep scammers from targeting you.
It's time now for another RTV6 Consumer Alert. I'm joined by the Better Business Bureau's Tim Maniscalco. And Tim, we are talking about festival fakes today. So many people get scammed each and every year when they think they are getting a great deal on tickets or passes to a festival.
Right. We see this in all kinds of different festivals. It can be things like these sci-fi festivals, craft beer festivals, all sorts of different things. There's a couple of things here. Number one, normally it comes through social media. That's where we've seen most of the complaints. And you'll click on something and you'll see what looks to be a great website. You say, hey, this is great. And they will have some incredible entrance fee or some other sort of free gift or something that you're getting with that. Sometimes the festival either doesn't exist or the festival really isn't what it's cracked up to be. So just be very, very careful, particularly if you get something on social media. You want to do your research before purchasing. Check to make certain that there's some sort of, working phone number or someplace you can actually get a hold of the festival, that type of thing, so you can actually check it out. Just don't trust that website and don't trust that link that you've been given on social media. Just watch out if the prices really seem to be too good to be true. Festivals, they've got to charge you something, right? In order to make it happen. So just be very, very careful of that. Always pay with your credit card. Look for a secured site, and we always tell people up in the URL, look for that HTTPS. S again is the important letter that you want to see on that, and then just avoid tickets that are sold on some of these sites that aren't so reliable, like Craigslist, those types of things. So once again, if it's too good to be true, you want to really watch out and make certain before you spend that money.
Absolutely. Tim, some great advice. Thank you so much. This has been another RTV6 Consumer Alert.
Meredith, thank you so much. Still ahead, another look at your forecast as the sun sets on another beautiful day in central Indiana. You're watching the news at 7 on RTV6. The stage is set for next year's Super Bowl halftime show. Jennifer Lopez and Shakira announced on Twitter today that they will perform together. The Super Bowl is set for February the 2nd in Miami. Both singers have sold over 75 million records throughout their careers. I'm sure there'll be a lot of bling and dancing on that one, Kevin Gregory.
Now we just got to find out which teams are playing.
All right. Maybe the Colts.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, they're off to a good start. Yeah. We'll watch for some colorful trees over the next month. That's a Brown County leaf cam and a beautiful view this evening. Don't be deceived. Tomorrow morning will be quite cool, but look at the lows as we go through the weekend, and next week they'll be around 70 degrees.
Kevin G., thank you so much. Thank you for watching tonight. Our next newscast tonight at 11 with Mark and Amanda. Have a good evening.